Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Nikki here, and today I want to show you a little experiment I have been doing. I decided I wanted a creative journal, not a journal to write down every little thing that happens every day, because honestly, how many times do I want to write down ridiculously busy day at work? I'm exhausted. I wanted somewhere where it's all in one place as a little bit of a place to play every day. So to be creative, to jot down things that happen if they're important, etc. And I ummed and ahed, I've watched lots of YouTube videos, and something that I saw a lot of people raving about was a Stalogy. And I loved the B6 size. It's not too big, it's not too small. So I decided to grab one. And for the month of October, I started it on the 1st. I've literally just been experimenting and playing in it. Now, have a look, it's already getting chunky because I've been gluing and sticking and doing all sorts of fun things. It's probably not exactly how I will use it moving forward, but the aim of the game for the month was just to see what this paper would tolerate and what it wouldn't. I use a Hobonichi Weeks as my planner, and honestly that Tomo River paper will take just about anything you throw at it. Can't honestly say the same for this, but I'll show you what I've been doing and how I've made it work. Now, just so you know, this cover I made myself. It was actually a piece of fabric that you line blinds with, you know, to make them black out. So it's a beautiful, it was sort of a canvasy fabric, and I just went to town painting on it. I painted some pockets in different contrasting colors, and I literally just threw it together very quickly on the sewing machine. But I love how it turned out, and I think for a creative journal, you might as well have a creative cover. At the same time, I also made myself a pen board, and honestly, this was the best thing I ever did. I have found there are a lot of pens that they either A, they leak through, or B, they dent the pages below, and I can't stand that. So look, I've already got paint on here from where I've used it. That was just a piece of cardstock that I sort of painted in the same colors just for fun. So let's have a look at what I have been up to and what I think of all this. So I'll just make, yep, we're sort of in the middle there. That looks pretty good. Loved the cover. It's soft, but it's solid. So very happy with that. And as I said, I love the B6 size. So and Hobonichi don't have a B6. So I couldn't even be tempted just to buy some other form of Hobonichi. So that's how I sort of stumbled across this and nabbed it. So haven't put anything in there yet. I'm thinking about that. Okay, so this was experiment number 1. Let's have a little bit of an intro page as to what this is all about. There is a calendar on here that you can use, but look, not interested in that. It's so tiny I can hardly see it. I need a magnifying glass. So I'm ignoring that. And I grabbed out a stamp set that I have and my fabulous Ranger ink, and I stamped that down. I thought it looked amazing. And I've simply put October 22 whenever. See how long it takes me to fill this thing up. But look what happened. There is a lot of bleed through. It didn't go through to the next page, so I was happy about that. But that's a very, very dark shadow. So maybe Ranger ink is not the answer. Or what I have tried a little bit further down is to do a stamp on paper first and then use my stamping as with the second stamp so that it's not so bold. The other thing is if I really want to stamp something and I want it bold and black, I'll just use the other page and I can cover that up. I can stick something down if I want to hide it. But yes, I was a little bit disappointed that it just had so much marking on the back, but never mind. We'll get there. We're going to work these things out. So then, of course, on my next page was just a little intro to October. Of course, being Halloween, I had this gorgeous witch sticker, which I just had to use. And then I thought, oh, what happens when I put paint on the page? So I just sploshed a bit of orange paint down there. Then I did some splattering to see how that would all go, and tried a couple of different pens and there is shadowing, but honestly, once you do the next page, I don't really care about shadowing. Bleed through, yes. Shadowing, I can live with, so I've got over that. So the 1st of October, just having some fun. It was International Coffee Day. Coffee is my saving grace. I also grabbed some watercolours and I plopped a bit of a flowery arrangement there to see how that would go. And watercolour, honestly, it handled quite well. You really can't see any evidence of the watercolour there. There is some paper crinkling from the water, so I might have to be a little bit careful about how much water I use, but I don't mind crinkly pages. Don't mind that texture at all, and it's going to make it bulk up with all these sort of additions, but guess what? I don't care. That's what half the fun's about. And I did some stamping using a brown ink pad, and that worked perfectly. So maybe my black range is not going to be the answer for everything, but otherwise not disappointed with that. Then this was, some of the things I want to put in here is positivity, reminders, that sort of thing. This was something I listened to. I've just grabbed a few bits that I had cut out of a magazine, just a reminder to try and meditate, which I don't do very successfully. I have trouble turning my mind off, but it's one of those things I need to practice. And intuition is seeing with the soul. Again, learning to trust your intuition is very important. So that's just sort of a little reminder there. Then the next day, of course, our Melbourne friends here in Australia were still well and truly in lockdown. So a lot of planner girls in Australia have been doing Zoom meetings. So I had a Zoom catch up with some of my planner friends, and I just found these cute little ladies in a magazine. So I popped them in there. And just a little reminder that whilst sipping coffee and chatting to my friends, I basically got my December daily ready. And a ton of ephemera. Then the next day, it was a very lazy day. I binged watched Emily in Paris. It was a really good show. Really wish I could go back to Paris. I am very lucky. I have been there. But of course, thanks to COVID, we aren't going anywhere. So I just sort of played with a cutout. I had a Eiffel Tower sticker and a metro sticker. And that was that one. So that was a lot of fun that day. It was very relaxing. I enjoyed that. Then the next day, this is just a full cutout from a magazine with a little quote thing that I found that I loved. So I popped that down there. Then the next page, this particular thing was coming up on TikTok and then on Facebook, and I love the words. It's a really good reminder just to keep on going. So I wrote those words down. Again, did some stamping. This was with a gold stamp, and that didn't show through at all. Of course, my little black crown did a little bit, but honestly, who cares? It doesn't matter. So the next day I was playing around again. This was with some watercolor again. And I also, this is also watercolor, but it's I didn't do this. This was a serviette. So I stuck that piece of serviette down there with just a glue stick just to see how that would react. Yes, it's got a little bit ripply, but I don't mind that at all. I like the texture. So that was awesome. And I received a jumbo order from my shop that day. So that was definitely worth documenting. Then this one here, this was a whole page in a magazine, and I cut out bits of it and even had to do a bit of a flip. But this was very thick cardboard, and when I glued it down, I think I only used glue stick. I was sort of pressing it down to make sure that it sort of stuck really nicely. And I did pay the price for that effort with a very crinkly page. You can't sort of notice it so much here, but you can see the crinkling. But again, that is not life or death. Popped a little bit of journaling on the inside there, but I just adored the colors, and it's spring here in Australia. So I just created that page there, and that's probably one of my favorites. Just have to be a little bit careful when gluing things down, not to press so hard. So, but anyway, it worked out okay. The next day I had coffee at one of my local coffee shops. This is one of their napkins, so I just stuck that down, and that sort of quite nicely hid most of the ripples. Again, not life or death. Little reminder here, I got some really good Happy Mail that I bought from a D-stash, so I stuck my little Australia Post thing in there. Then the next day was a beauty day. It was the day prior to a fizzy comp. And when we do fizzy comps, we have to exfoliate and shave and tan and do our toenails and our gel nails and pack our bag, etc., etc. So I just sort of stuck a few things that I'd collected out of a magazine down to represent that day, because honestly there wasn't that much time for anything else. Had another Zoom catch up with my planner friends and pictured a page which is an Australian Facebook page that helps promote a lot of craft shops. They had a big craft weekend, so I watched some of those. So that was a good day. Then the next day was Teams Day. My daughter, this one here lying on the floor, owns 2 dance clubs. There's Brisbane City Fizzy and Ipswich City. And Mama does dancing, yes, in a leotard and fishnet stockings, but it's a lot of fun. It's great exercise. So it was state teams competition day. It was really weird. There were no spectators allowed. We had to do a lot of our classes via Zoom, thanks to COVID. There's no nationals. My daughter does seniors, and nationals is at the Opera House in Sydney every year. But guess what? There's no nationals this year because we can't travel to New South Wales. Well, I lie. We can travel to New South Wales, but we can't come back home. So that's all been cancelled for the year. But we did get to do teams here in Queensland. And honestly, we had a really good day. And I've just used the things that I've popped here because my daughter's Fizzy Club colours are very dark blue and pale pink. So I sort of just grabbed some bits that match with that. So it was a fun day for what it could be. Then the next day, again, I was playing with glue, just trying to be a little bit more gentle to see if the paper would crinkle or whether it wouldn't. And it coped really well with that. So I just have to be a little bit more gentle with the glue, and I won't use a really wet glue. I think I'll just limit it to a good old glue stick or my roll-on sticky tape. I have used that coming up very, very successfully. And this was just a cute little bit of watercolouring that I had done on a tag, and I just popped that in there because it looked cute. Again, this is some of the fabric that I painted. And actually, if you scroll down a bit in my videos, you will actually see a video that I did on painting fabric. So you can actually create your own coloured fabric in any colours that you like, and I show you a few different ways that I did that. The next day was a bit of a yucky day. A very, very, very good friend of mine was diagnosed with, it's actually not bowel cancer, even though that's what I've written, it's actually rectal cancer, but it made for a very grey day. So I just reflected my mood of the day with some cutouts that were on the darker side. I don't want to fill this with negative stuff, but I think when something important like that happens, you do sort of need to write that down. So that's what I did. Then the next day it was World Dessert Day. Well, I had lots of pretty things to stick down that day. Some of this I've done with glue. A couple of things I just used roller tape, as I just said. Worked perfectly. I was very happy with that. Then this was another little experiment. This was doing watercolor, but with the smooshing technique. You know, where you grab a piece of plastic, you drop a little bit of water paper on, you flip it over, and you just press it down. And the paper coped pretty well with that. So I do see some more smooshing in my future. And I just had this gorgeous little mason jar cutout, which I popped down there, and a few pretty butterflies and a heart just for fun. Then this was another experiment. I decided to get some acrylic paint, and I used a sponge. Now, I got good coverage with the sponge because they're pretty bold colours. And again, paper coped with that really nicely. You can basically not even see any rippling or anything. So that's another great thing I learned. Sponging paint on, which you puts a thinner coat on, but you still get really good coverage, and the paper was a lot happier with that. And this was just a free printable from, I can't remember. I've got 4 of these tags and I just popped that on there. Look, it's Halloween month, so I was just playing. But sponging worked really well. I was very happy with that. Then I had a day off. I love this little quote that I found in a magazine. Always find at least a few minutes each day to do something that lifts your spirits. So a naughty treat, smelling flowers in the garden, having a nice cuppa, tea or coffee, and just a couple of little things that happened that day. I had a phone catch up with one of my best buddies, got a YouTube video done, started a giant shop overhaul, which I've been working on. It was a beautiful, warm, sunny day. And, finally picked a quote theme. That is for a little collab that I'm doing. So I was happy that I finally decided on that. This next day, again, nothing major. It happened of any great importance. So I just sort of did a little bit of a mood board. Loving all these greens, aqua, teal, jade. I love all those colours. And then a little bit of contrast with some black and white washi. Just having fun, especially on a day when nothing outrageously different happened. It was just a normal day. So instead of saying boring day, busy at work, etc., I have something pretty from that day. Love those colours. So very happy with that. Used glue stick again with this, and we got a little bit of crinkling, but not too bad. Then the next day I did some finger painting to see how that would go. Now underneath this is some little bits of greenery cut out from a magazine, which I stuck down first, and then I smooshed on some paint with my fingers because I like finger painting. And again, paper coat okay with that. So there was no water at all used with this. It was just finger paint, acrylic, straight onto the paper. It didn't mind that at all. Then this was another day, again, another busy day at work, but who cares? I went and had coffee with one of my best friends that I work with. Sometimes if we finish on this at the same time, we go and have coffee. So this sort of is so us. She's very dark haired. I'm bottle blonde on the top. And so I love this little pick. And I had some paper that I had coffee dyed with a cup and some coffee. And look, just a nice little reminder. And I love coffee, so that's all good. Then again, the next day was just playing with bits of paper. I tried 2 different glue sticks. I tried my roller glue just to see how it all reacted. And then I also used some heavy duty wet glue, but only on bits that were stuck down on paper that was already there, not directly onto this paper. And of course that worked perfectly. That was no problem. Then this here was just a color swatch. I bought myself some big girl paints, a box of Calero pearl colors. Doesn't look much when you look at the page like that, but I wonder if I pull it up, no, it's very hard for the camera to capture, but can you see all the beautiful pearl sheens on those colors? They are just magnificent. And I also then swatched it on a little bit of black card. And those colours, honestly, they are just stunning. And so I just stuck that in as a little bit of a tip in. So yes, very happy playing with my new colours. Yes, the paper crinkled because there was quite a bit of water used, but that's okay. We're experimenting to see what we can do. I had a really lovely day. This day, my youngest daughter, who is grown up, she's 21, we had the day together. We went to DFO to go shopping. We were supposed to start Christmas shopping, but I didn't find a single thing. But she is currently at uni doing, and she had to go on prac. So we did find her some good clothes and some of the things she wanted to go on prac. Of course, we had coffee at Gloria Jean's, just had a lovely day, sushi for lunch. So it was more than happy to sort of do just like a journal diary style page for that day, because that's exactly what happened. Oh, and then this one here, I tacked a newspaper to get these images. One of our national games is AFL. It started in Victoria and the final has always been played in Melbourne. But thanks to COVID, again, that didn't happen. But we had it up here in Queensland. So what's always usually one day in September, because the grand finals usually played on the last Saturday in September, had to become one day in October, and it was played here in Queensland at night. First time ever the finals been played at night, and the Tigers won, which I was very happy about because I like them better than Geelong. But it's not my team, but my team fails. They were miserably at the bottom of the ladder this year, so that was sad. But a major COVID-affected football year, so of course had to jot that down in here. Then, now, this was another little experiment. Obviously, using heavy, thicker die cuts in this is really going to make it bulk up. So I had a little bit of a play. I used magazine pages and made some die cuts. So they're considerably thinner, but they turned out really well. I loved how they turned out. So that was a little bit of just an experiment. Again, just glued it down with glue stick. That worked fine. Then this was some more watercolour play. I got my bright Jane Davenports out because it was a really grey day. I had a really tough day at work and I just needed a bright boost. So I got my my box of brights Jane Davenport watercolour and I just played and I went, I don't care if the paper gets ripply. I just want something pretty to put down there. And of course, some very pretty butterfly stickers that I had in my stash. I love collaging. Absolutely love collaging. So this is another one of my favorite colors is pink. Very much so a fan of hot pink. So this was just all sorts of little pink bits that I had floating around. Love it. Just went to town. The page was already a little bit wrinkly, so I thought, who cares? Let's just glue all the things down, and that's what I did. Love it. Then the next day, this was just a reminder that I got some really great Happy Mail that week, including a Happy Mail swap from one of the planner groups that I'm in, and it came wrapped in this gorgeous paper. So I just stuck that down there, and just a little list of some of the goodies that did come in the mail, because honestly, at the moment with mail, you never know. This was just a very simple page. But a lovely day. I don't work on Fridays, and daughter number one happened to be working not far from home, so she rang me up and we went and had Thai for lunch. And then daughter number two, my baby, came over for dinner. So that's just a little reminder that I had a lovely day with my girls. And then, of course, the very last day of the month, not only was it Halloween, not only was there a full moon happening, we had massive, massive storms, not in my area, but on the south side. There were cricket-sized hailstones. A friend of mine, her entire roof was destroyed, plus most of her windows. It was horrific. We didn't get it so bad on our side of town, but I didn't get a single trick-or-treater because honestly, as a parent, you could not take your children out when there was those sort of storms rumbling through very late afternoon into the evening. So I totally get it, and I've still got a lot of chocolate to eat, but that's okay. And of course, on top of all that, we had our Queensland state election. And for the first time ever, I actually ummed and ahed about who to vote for, which I've never done before. So yes, it was all a bit much for the brain. But yes, so that's my very last day. Again, now I used a pen, a marker, Bic, I think they were, because sort of I had an orange and a purple one, and oops, yes, it's bled straight through, but guess what? Starting our November, I will just cover that up with whatever. So there you go. There's a little flip through of my very first month in my B6 Stalogy. These are quite a bit cheaper than Hobonichi, so that was also attractive to me, but it was of course the size that I loved. So moving forward, I don't quite know what my pages will look like. I don't know how much information I'll include on it, but as I said, I want it to be creative. I want it to be fun with some memory things thrown in if something interesting happens. But yes, look, generally speaking, absolutely love it. Just have to adjust a bit to the paper, but look, I love this. Look, It's only been a month and look at all that gloriousness. Can you imagine what this is going to look like by the time it's finished? Oh, it's going to be fabulous. Honestly, I'm so looking forward to it. So there you go. I technically was going to wait and not start this till the 1st of January, but yeah, no way. I thought, look, I'll just keep going. And if I love it, if I feel it, if I really want to, I'll just order another one to start the new year with, or I'll keep going in this one. We'll see how we go. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you are not yet a subscriber, I would love it if you would follow along. Hit the subscribe button. There's plenty of planner and paper crafting videos to come. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. And if you have any questions, pop them down and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So until next time, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have some fun crafting. Bye for now.